and welcome to TalkFCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. It is time now for the tactical preview ahead of Barcelona against Bayern Munich. And what a clash this is. What a fantastic matchup between two historic teams on the European stage. And that's why in today's video, we're going to be looking at the possible lineups, the possible setup from Quique Setién, from Hansi Flick, and most importantly, that head-to-head battle between the two teams when it all comes together, when it comes down to it, out on the field. How's it going to play out? Who is going to come out on top? This is a big one. Let's get to it. Starting here then with Bayern Munich and their team news and expected starting lineup ahead of this game. It's going to be Manuel Neuer in goal, Alphonso Davies there at left back with Kimmich there playing at right back. Alaba and Boateng are expected to be the centre backs with Thiago and Goretzka holding in midfield, and a front four of Thomas Müller down the middle, Gnabry from the left, Kingsley Coman from the right, and Robert Lewandowski, the man in form, the man who's led Bayern this season. He is going to be leading their line in Portugal on Friday. And I have to say, you look at that Bayern team and the first thing you think is, what a fantastically balanced team. I think from the defence into the midfield, and particularly there, what they can do in those wide areas. We know at Barcelona, as we're going to come on to in this video, that is going to be a big outlet here with Gnabry, with Coman. They can stay out wide. They can also come in here as inside forwards. And I think Bayern, they're certainly going forward. They have so many options and so many good players in those areas. What I do want to say, though, is that Kimmich here at right back is a position that he has played throughout his career, but this season he's played as a centre midfielder, and he's been really good in that position there at Bayern. Now, unfortunately for them, Pavard, he's not going to make this game. He may be back for a potential semi-final, but for the quarters, he's not going to be available, and that means basically that Bayern are having to be inconvenienced by shifting Kimmich back out to right back, and that will impact them. I think Thiago coming in, of course, we all know what he can do. We've spoken already about Goretzka. They are two brilliant midfielders, but Kimmich in that role, he is so good from the centre of the field. He's the hub of Bayern, and I think moving him out to the right, that does weaken them there in midfield. And I think the other area that you would look at is centre-back. You've got David Alaba, who again has played there right throughout the season, ever since Alphonso Davies there has played into that left-back role. He's come central alongside their Jerome Boateng. He's just about going to make this game. He did have a bit of an injury problem, but he is going to be okay to start this one. And I think Boateng, under Hansi Flick, has certainly improved. I think he's gone up a level again. I don't really think that he's back to his best, the version that we saw of him all those years ago. But Boateng will start for Bayern, and for me, that defensive structure there, Alaba, Boateng, you've got Alphonso Davies, who is still untested as a fullback at this level, and Kimmich out to the right. Those are the weakest points of what is a brilliant Bayern team. In terms of the starting lineup and the team news, though, for Barcelona, things are far less certain, because we take a look first of all at the team there that started in our recent game against Napoli. We got through that one there by 3-1. I think we'll all agree it wasn't a vintage performance. It wasn't a brilliant 90-minute display. But this here, because of suspensions, was the team that we saw. Now, the things that you have to bear in mind, what we've heard after the game, what we heard from the coach, and also from the media, is that the feeling was Rakitic didn't play well in that game. That is the feeling coming out of the Spanish media. He was the man in that team that the coaching staff were not very happy with, and he's unlikely to start now against Bayern. Also, a man who may not be in the team is Antoine Griezmann. He was taken off there against Napoli. He didn't have a great impact, but then also neither did Suarez. But it does seem as though Suarez is going to be a fixture in this team. He does seem to be undroppable. We've all been aware of that now for some time. And it does seem as though going into this game against Bayern, we may change to two up front, and that doesn't seem set to include Griezmann. Because these here are the two options that Quique Setién has coming into this game, and these are the things right now that we know, and also the things that we most certainly don't. On the left-hand side there, you've got a three-man midfield setup in a 4-3-3 formation, or they're switching to a 4-3-1-2 if Messi was to come into that central role. I think at right-back, for me, it should be Semedo. I don't think there should be any doubt at all about that, given the way that he played against Napoli, given what Bayern can give going forward. Semedo should be that man at right back. In midfield, I think Busquets will return from suspension, and then you've got another open position there alongside him and De Jong. And up front, it's very much open to debate. But also on the right-hand side, you've got a potential four-man midfield. What you would do there, like I say, is drop a centre forward. You may have just Suarez there alongside Messi, and what that allows you to do then is to call upon two extra midfield players alongside De Jong and alongside Busquets in this game. And if you did ask me right here, right now, how do I believe Setién would line up? It would be like this. It would be there with that four-man midfield, with one extra player there, pack in the middle, and Suarez and Lionel Messi starting up front on their own against Bayern Munich. What you would have then is former Bayern man Arturo Vidal. Apparently the coaching staff believe that he should be involved because he knows the players very, very well at Bayern, having played there for several years. You'd also have Roberto here to give support on the right-hand side to Nelson Semedo. I think that could certainly be something that we do need out of possession of the ball, and Busquets there and De Jong making up that midfield. Now, in terms of a defensive structure, in terms of containing Bayern, if that's the plan from Setién, this formation isn't the end of the world. But I'm only talking there in terms of off the ball. I'm going to explain why on the ball I still have huge doubts about this setup, but in terms of off the ball, it does help to contain Bayern's most dangerous areas, because I think here Lewandowski is the biggest threat for Bayern in terms of goals, but it's how the ball gets there. It's not just about Lewandowski, what he can do in front of goal, because he's got to have those chances. He does rely there on the likes of Gnabry, Coman, and especially Thomas Muller to provide him with those chances. If you shut down Muller, if you find a way there to really cut him out the game and to stop those passes going into Lewandowski, you do go a long, long way to shutting down the threat of the Polish forward. But of course, that is easier said than done. One massive part of Bayern's game, though, that we have to shut down is all about this double threat on their left-hand side, with Alphonso Davies, who time and time again is going to bomb forward. He is going to go forward, and they are going to create, in this kind of situation, an overload. Gnabry here can go inside. He then may take the fullback with him, and when that sort of thing happens, Alphonso Davies, time and time again, he's going to be getting down here into all of that space, and that is why, potentially, we will see Roberto and Semedo lining up together. Because let's face it, in an ideal world, you'd line up there with a front three. You'd line up there with players who are going to give you something going forward. But if you did that, you'd also be relying on somebody like Messi to track Davies going back the other way, and I just don't see that happening. We know now that the stage of the career Suarez and Messi are at, they're not exactly going to be doing a great deal of work off the ball in terms of the defence. So I think there's certainly that forward midfield in terms of off the ball, in terms of shutting down Muller, in terms of handling here the wide threats of Bayern. Kimmich as well will certainly get forward, and De Jong, as we know, is a very, very good defensive player. So in terms of containing them, that may indeed work. But on the ball, can it be effective going forward? Because this right here would be my biggest concern with this sort of setup when you're in possession of the ball. Because there will come a time in the game, and I expect many, many times over, whereby Ter Stegen has got it, and we're looking here to play at the back. Under Quique Setién, we're always going to try and play that way. We're always going to try and have that build-up, and we're going to try and be patient in our play. And that's absolutely fine. And I do expect Bayern to be aggressive in their press. And I certainly expect them there to get very, very high in the field, and also, most importantly, to play this high line. But providing we can actually get around this press, providing we have the players here to get us out of trouble, players who are going to come and receive the ball, come and be brave, and can actually be press resistant, if we can get around that, we all know that playing against this high line, it might be a good thing. But in order to expose that space in behind, you need players who can make that happen. And my question would be, is a front three and a forward line of Suarez, Arturo Vidal, and then Lionel Messi, of course not including Messi, but with Vidal and Suarez, is that really getting the best out of this situation? Because yes, if we do manage there to break down that Bayern press, if we do turn over the ball, if we're in a counter-attacking situation, there will be space there. But Barcelona, no doubt about it, there will be space to exploit. But are Vidal and Suarez really the best players to take advantage? Now, the answer from me, as you probably already gathered, is a no. I don't personally think a 4-4-2 formation playing there with an extra midfielder is going to really hurt Bayern Munich. But What if it's not meant to? What if actually here, the plan from Setién, knowing that Bayern are the way they are, knowing how strong they are, and knowing that they do come into this game as favourites, what if actually here, in that first half, the way that we set up, what if that's meant to just contain Bayern? It's a risky game. I'm not saying here that it's the best strategy to go for, and I'm not even saying that's what I do, but if Setién there does go with that extra man from the start in midfield, what if that's simply there just to calm things down, get a foothold in the game, grow in the game, and then as the game goes on, providing that we're still in it, we do have options, if you start like that, to bring players off the bench and really make a game of this. Because very, very interestingly, despite all of Bayern's quality, if we start out there with the two teams that you've just seen, if those are the starting lineups, these would be some of the options on the bench for Barça and for Bayern. And as you can see, we've got some fantastic options. Coming on there in the 60th, 70th minute mark, Setién would have to be better in his decision making. He'd have to be more bold in his approach with subs, much, much better than what we saw against Napoli. But look at those options. You've got Griezmann, you've got the potential there of Ousmane Dembele, you've got Ansu Fati, Ricky Puig, Rakitic, Monju, Junior, Araujo. Those are very, very good players and options there that you can bring off the bench and have an impact to turn the game in our favour as the game progresses. Whereas Bayern, I think certainly defensively, they've got some brilliant, brilliant depth there. But actually going forward, there's not an awful lot there. Of course, there's our man Coutinho, there's Perisic, but other than that, there's not an abundance of talent there that's going to come off the bench later in the game and actually affect it. And that does make things interesting. If we can stay in the game, contain Bayern, frustrate Bayern for 60 minutes, what happens next? Because now, like I say, again, taking that risk, providing that you're still in the game, given the way that we start it, it could be an entirely different outlook. With 20, with 30 minutes to go, if you do bring on the likes of Ousmane Dembele, it could be Ansu Fati, either player there, who have rapid pace in behind, and also putting them against Kimmich, who, to be fair, despite all of his talents, he's not exactly pacey. He's not there somebody who's going to easily keep up with the likes of Dembele, and also you can add into the mix a fully fresh, fully ready Antoine Griezmann to attack Boateng and to attack Alaba. It could become fascinating. It really, really could. But no doubt about it, Setién starting there with a lineup just to contain Bayern. It's not the Barça way. It's not vintage Barcelona. But in this game, we do need something, whatever it takes, to get the job done. And that may be Setién's way of looking at it. So that right there, guys, is right now the way that I see the tussle happening there between Barca and Bayern out there on the field on Friday night. I think we've got to be aware of all of the quality, all of the threat that Bayern pose, and they really do. They do have, don't get me wrong, some absolutely terrific players. But if we can stay strong, if we can stay firm, if we can see a focused defensive performance in stopping Bayern taking that lead, we can grow into this game. We have options on the bench for one of the first times this season. We've got all our players available. We've got Dembele coming back. Things are looking very, very interesting. And Setién will know he has options. Let me know what you think. What approach would you go with ahead of the game? Let me know all that stuff and all the rest of it too. There's plenty more to come right here on the channel and over on more TalkFCB. I will see you soon, guys. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça!